All right, you know what I caught on that? I have recordings. I wonder how many of the so-called 200 sources that Michael Wolff used were put on tape, and he'll have the proof right there. That book is out right now. It's all the sensation right now. Let Trump Be Trump is another book on the president. That author, David Bossie, joins us right now. David, rarely do political tomes get this type of attention. This seems to cast the president in a very, very negative light. And the president isn't enthused at it. Do you think his threat to take legal action actually helped its sales?
No, I don't. I think this is a book that is really structured like the National Enquirer on steroids. This just is tabloid trash. And I got to be honest with you, this reporter, I have now only seen some excerpts of this book, but as you pointed out, I have a book that I wrote with Corey Lewandowski that is the firsthand account from our campaign and transition, and we contradict in our account with what his fantasy is in the book in several instances. So I'm going to put our book up against his, and we'll see how it works out.
All right. David, the one thing I'm amazed with Michael Wolff is his access to the White House. I mean, all these photos and videos have been released where he keeps popping up at the White House. So they obviously knew he was there. They obviously know who he is, who he was, and yet he kept popping up. Is it true that those in the administration, maybe the president himself, felt if they're going to do a tell-all book on me, we can trust this guy?
I think it's a major mistake. Clearly, someone, and it seems that it is known that it seems to be Steve Bannon, gave this person really unfettered access to all of these top-level people. Now, whether they are on the record or not is going to be up to those individuals.
I'm sorry, but do you know whether he still had that access after Bannon left, I think, in August?
No, I have no idea,
okay.
But I would highly doubt it, because why would you allow this person to be in there? So I find the whole thing incredibly troubling. This person clearly had an agenda going in, whether he was, whether he lied to these people about it and then did something exactly the opposite of what he said. That's going to be drilled down into.
I love these type of books, good or bad. I loved your book. I'm intrigued by this, but I just downloaded it. So I just read all this stuff. I don't know what that says about me outside of I have no life. But and that's not to besmirch your fine tome with Corey. But I definitely get two different impressions of the president from reading so far this book and, of course, having read yours. One portrays him as a very enterprising, very inventive, hardworking, humorous, go-get-em type of guy. This one, the Michael Wolff book, as a nutcase. How do you feel about that?
I'm incredibly insulted, and I feel sorry for Michael Wolff. It's a pathetic thing to have done. This president has, to say that he didn't, in his book, he says he didn't want to become president. No one worked harder than Donald Trump. Nobody deserved the victory more than Donald Trump. He also says
he was surprised that he became president.
Please. We had data, Neil. Look, we had data that showed that we had closed the gap in the final week. We knew it was going to be close. Anything can happen on Election Day. We didn't know we were going to win. But to say we were shocked is outrageous.
Well, David, was there any truth to Melania's wife crying, that she didn't want to become First Lady, that she thought this was just a joyride and that he wouldn't go anywhere?
We write about it in Let Trump Be Trump. Election night, Melania Trump, the First Lady, was euphoric. She was happy. I stood next to her. This is outrageous lies on their face. People should not go buy this book, in my opinion, because it is full of salacious lies and selective.
Let me ask you this, David. You're a lot closer to the president than I was or am, but this other portrayal of him, and you and Corey touch on it, that he can be quite the taskmaster. I mean, successful people generally are. I'm sure you're that way, in a good way.
Yes.
But that can also come across as being volcanic, a volcanic temper, and prone to anger. And the president has a short fuse. Again, I got to stress, I'm only a third of the way through this Wolff book, but that issue keeps coming up, that he has a short attention span and he gets angry easily and vindictive. That portrayal, what do you think?
No, look, this is the furthest thing from the truth. This president has an incredible intellect. He is well-read. The mainstream media wants you to believe the opposite. He gets up and he reads a newspaper, not just the front page of a newspaper, not just the front page section. He reads them cover to cover. It's really an older generation, an old school style. He does it with multiple papers every day. And so he fights the fake news that he finds in them, and he takes them on because he reads what they are writing, the lies that he
this book seems to say, David, that he also keeps track of those who say anything bad about him. He has maybe it's a list in his head. But well, I'm that way. I remember everyone who says a crossword about me.
So do I.
Yeah, right.
But this president is different than your average politician. He fights back. Normally in Washington, you're a punching bag. This president is an unbelievable counterpuncher, and he takes the fight to you, whether it's the mainstream media or Hollywood, or the left in Congress or elsewhere. He will take the fight right back to you, and he's not going to take these punches lying down.
To suck up to the New York Times, you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like you want to be liked by these guys even as you rip these guys, but that comes through now and then, where he grants an interview with a New York Times reporter over the vacation at Mar-a-Lago.
You know what? I think he gives them because he gives them a chance. Yeah. He gives them an opportunity to be fair and truthful to the American people, and then they choose editorially to write these nasty, negative lies about him. And that's what he points out. He says, I gave you a chance, and look what you did with it. You cannot even tell the truth in a very simple, exclusive interview, which I was nice enough to grant. And I think that presidents sit down with reporters all the time to be able to make sure that they are effectively communicating, to the American people. But these things are outrageous. This book is a fraud, and I think that people should not take a look at it.
All right, I'm going to put you as a maybe on Michael Wolff. But I did want to end with this, because I get the impression that the president is surrounded, in that case, by a viper's nest. A lot of people who don't like him would sooner turn on him, are talking to the author of this book as he wanders around the West Wing about him. Is he surrounded by people who are going to wish him ill?
Well, first of all, I will say that if Michael Wolff has those people on tape saying those things, it would be doing a service to everyone if he puts them out, because those folks should not be working there. Okay, if you think that poorly of the president, this is an honor and a privilege to work in the White House for any president. This president or anyone else. And it is outrageous that people would be backstabbing other staffers, but specifically the president. So I find that to be outrageous, and I think people need to be held to account for it.
David Bossie, very good seeing you again. Thank you very much.